Welcome to the PH coin, and this is our soft reboot to version 2.0. A few changes are going to happen to the channel. You're going to see starting March 1st with the videos dropping, changing the format of this channel to be more educational, and obviously I'm going to be speaking to you as compared to just the music in the background and seeing the coins. And I realized it really wasn't fulfilling what I intended for this channel to be, which is to be educational, to teach people about coins and grading and the whole interest of it. And I realized that the channel in the beginning was kind of me being lazy, being full disclosure there. So anyway, this is the soft reboot of the channel. This is also the first video of a series about essentially teaching people everything I can about coin grading, and I do mean everything. It's going to be a bunch of videos. I don't know how many just yet, but there will be a lot, and they're going to be covering every aspect of coin grading. We're going to be going into the nitty-gritty of it, of different areas of coin grading, why you should even care about coin grading, what is coin grading, what goes into it, blah, blah, blah. Lots and lots of examples. We're going to also have real coins under the microscope again as well. Just all sorts of stuff. It's going to be very, honestly, kind of unscripted, ad hoc. So as we go through the real coins, you're going to see things as I see them, and you're going to hear my reactions and my descriptions in the video in real time. Nothing's going to be pre-staged or anything like that. And that's also because I want this channel to be very honest and very transparent, and any of you who are already involved in the coin hobbyists, professional hobbyists, even professionals maybe, can hopefully learn something, and hopefully I can learn something from you. So, please put in the chat ideas, suggestions, what you like, what you don't like, what works, what you'd like to see, and I'll do my best to get that done. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. And the biggest question I get from people, and I think the biggest question most of you who are looking at this channel, is probably, why would I even want to grade a coin? I mean, what do I care, I mean, it's got its face value, and that would be a good assessment, honestly, kind of honestly assessment, yeah. But there is actually, people do actually value coins beyond the physical amount. Like a quarter might be worth 1 1/4, a dime 1 a dime, so on and so forth, based on different factors. Now, let me start by saying that coin grading is objective and subjective, okay? End of the day, a coin is simply a piece of stamped alloy, metal alloy, copper, gold, silver, bronze, aluminum, whatever it might be made out of. It might be, and by alloy, this isn't a metallurgy channel, but just understand it's a combination of different elements that make that metal up. So it's just a stamped piece of metal. So at the end of the day, you could argue it's a stamped piece of metal. Those of us who are interested in coins, it goes beyond that. There's the craftsmanship that went into making the stamp and things like that, and so on and so forth. So we're going kind of beyond that. But so what is grading? What does it mean we grade a coin? It means that we're looking at some fundamental aspects of that coin. So in this case, we're putting a slide for you. Things like wear might be as that coin is in somebody's pocket, or it's in a cash register drawer, or it's a bag with other coins. It's going to rub against other coins. It's going to get scratched up. It's going to get dented. It's going to get marred. It's going to get dirt on it. It's not going to be as shiny. When we look at what are called proof coins compared to in circulation coins, you'll see the definitive luster, how bright it is under the lights, things like that. The strike, we're talking about things like the detail in the actual coin, how sharp are the ridges and things like that. And again, arguably, this is very subjective. But believe it or not, there is actually a standardized measure how we judge or quote-unquote grade the coin, which we'll go over. And there will be subsequent videos, by the way, where we'll go into a lot more detail on the actual standard, but for now we're going to do kind of a high level. And the reason we have grading is because it allows for market stability and market transparency. There's a whole market for coin buying and selling. Imagine almost like a stock market, but instead of stocks, you're actually buying physical coins. There's a whole subculture, whole market that exists for this, and we need to have some type of metric, some type of measure, so that John Doe or Jane Doe can't say my coin is worth this much money just because. Well, it doesn't work that way. It's based on the grade, and we'll go over again very soon the standard of it, but that's what makes it so important. So historically speaking, and even today, coins really kind of fall into certain tiers. There's about good, AG. This is imagine your coin between your couch cushions, probably an AG coin. Good, okay, we're getting a little bit better, maybe a little bit less beat up coin. Very good, fine, very fine. The higher we go up the scale, all the way up to mint state, MS would be uncirculated. It's a proof coin. It was, punched on. It might be the first coin off the die. It is arguably near perfect. Now, when I say near perfect, I want you to kind of imagine that any coin, even if I was to get the best die and the best, punch on the press, and it just came out just absolutely stunning, and it was we made it in a clean room, and everything was flawless. If I took that coin and threw it under an electron microscope, I would see ridges and bumps and cracks, and I would see all sorts of crazy things going on. So how we define coin grading, so people understand, is we are supposed to base it on what our human eye can perceive. So there's a limit. So when we talk about coin grading, first of all, let me just say that most grading companies, the two major ones I'm going to mention soon, they don't reveal their secret sauce. So how do they get to, what makes the difference between, uncirculated or extremely fine to mint state, or what's the difference between good and very good, fine and very fine? These are what kind of like the secret sauce that these both organizations I'm going to mention, the two main ones, don't really reveal to us. We kind of, because of their reputation, because of their history, we kind of take their word for it. Okay, if it's very fine, it's very fine. But understand that there is no like perfect coin. I can zoom in ridiculous levels of magnification and see problems with that coin. So we're not looking for perfect. Most coin grading services, you're looking at going to about, I think, 10x, sometimes a bit higher as far as the magnification goes. In this channel, for example, we do go in pretty deep sometimes. You'll see in the coins. And I'm going to do it on purpose, actually. We're going to take some real nice graded proof coins and zoom into them really deep, and you'll see that there are imperfections there, even though there are. But the bottom line is the industry as a whole, I'm going to, people can call me out on this, but the Sheldon scale, which was developed back in 1949, is considered like the industry standard for grading coins. And the Sheldon scale goes from 1 all the way to 70. And 70 is, like I noted, this is the perfect, this coin is about as close to human eye perception, air quotes, as possible. Your next question might be, well, have there ever been 70 grade coins? And the answer is yes, there has. They are extremely rare, extremely expensive. They go up for auction for lots and lots of money. And the older the coin is, the less likely you are to find a 70. So if you found like a 1800 coin, 1700 coin from the era, and it was a grade 70, I guarantee you it would probably be on Sotheby's or something and go for a ridiculous amount of money. Those coins are stupid rare. Which also brings me to one of the benefits of coin grading. I'm kind of tangenting a bit. Again, this is not scripted. The other reason we grade coins is to call out counterfeits. And the grading companies are supposed to we trust them to tell us if the coin is counterfeit or not. So, be wary if you're buying coins and they say, oh yeah, it's graded, but you don't recognize the grader or it doesn't have the security mechanisms on the casing. Be very wary and probably avoid buying those coins. So both the major graders we're going to cover soon cover the Sheldon scale. And that's an important factors. So the condition of the coin obviously is going to be a big factor in the grading. As I'm going to note, once you get your coin graded, this is just my personal advice. Do not put it in a display case next to your window where the sun is going to hit it all the time. This is just my personal advice. I'm very biased. Don't, some people tell me, oh, but I have it behind UV glass, archival glass, blah, 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 blah. And my response to that is, that's great if you want to risk it. Sunlight is a great compromiser of anything. If you want proof of that, take some plastic, put it outside. In a few years, it'll literally become very brittle and fall apart. So you can do whatever you want. My personal advice, my personal practice, I should say, is I keep my graded coins in fireproof bags and then in a safe, locked away, dark, dry, lots of desiccant in the safe to keep them safe and all that, or keep in a safe deposit box. Protect them from coins. Like any type of material are subject to the common degrading factors, heat, moisture, direct sunlight, things like that. If you want to take them out to show people, 100%, but I wouldn't recommend displaying them actively in a display case where sunlight can hit them all the time or something like that. And this is just my personal advice. You can do whatever you want to do. So now coins, when we talk about grading, we're also, because as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like the stock market. There is a factor of how rare is that coin. So if you have, for example, a 2025 Lincoln penny and it is just pristine, let's even hypothetically say you get it graded a 70. It is perfect. Is it going to be worth a lot of money? Maybe 3 figures, arguably maybe 4 figures, I don't know. But it's so common of a coin that it's not going to be that spectacular, Now, if you were to have, for example, a 1901 Philadelphia Morgan dollar that was grade 70, then, pretty much go buy a house, because I can tell you that, roughly speaking, an MS-65 of a 1901 Philadelphia Morgan dollar is about $250,000. So if you had one that was, that's 250,000 for those of you. So if you had a grade 70, you could buy yourself a house with that one coin. So again, it depends on the rarity and how many are out in circulation and the likelihood of you finding that particular coin is going to really affect the value. And obviously demand, and market demand is going to change. Like today, for example, if you have a gold coin, just the value of gold alone is going to affect the value of the coin. So it might be, so grade, let's say grade 40 gold coin, it was probably worth more today than it would have been 10 years ago, just because of the sheer value of the gold itself is more valuable. So things like that. So again, how rare it is and what it's worth can be essentially all over the scale. It might be worth one thing one day, the next week something else. Most people who go into this hobby of grading coins don't, and again, this is just my personal opinion, we're more of the, we get it graded, we like it, we store it, we save it, we're going to give it, our kids will inherit them, and hopefully their generation, so on and so forth. And as I noted earlier, there's a market perception of authenticity. We have to have confidence in the organizations grading the coin. Now, I'm going to cover 2 particular organizations in this video, and I am not, I'll put it out there right now, I'm not being paid, I'm not endorsing, I'm not saying choose this one over that one. I'm not telling you that they're better or they're worse, or it's a completely 100% subjective choice. And I feel either one of them you can't go wrong with. I am looking at, in the future maybe, we do an experiment where we're going to take one coin, get it graded by one place, and then get it graded by another place and see if we get different grades, just out of curiosity, out of fun. Now, doing that also, I must say, there's going to be that variable of, well, did the coin in shipping or whatever get damaged or changed or somehow? And of course, getting it professionally graded does usually yield you a higher perceived value for the coin as compared to just having a coin. One other quick side note that some of you might be thinking about in the comments: well, how much does it cost to grade a coin? I will tell you that for this channel, I sent out a proof mint silver dollar. I think it was 2001 or 2010, I don't recall, to one of the major grading companies. And we're going to have a video about that later on. But it cost about $85 to grade that coin. And it was purely graded for this channel, not for monetary gain in any way like that. We might actually give it away in the future. I'll see how we do, how this channel does. We might have it as a free giveaway or something like that. So coin standards and processing, as we discussed. So poor is obviously the worst condition coin. We go all the way to mint state, which is almost perfect. One question I've gotten from people is, okay, well, poor, how do you define poor? Because there is a market, obviously, for coins that are near 70 grading. There's also a market for coins that are near 1 grading, which I know sounds kind of counterintuitive, but there are some people that like to collect really bad coins. This said, the poor side of the market, full transparency, is my biggest weakness, because I am not good at understanding that side of the market or even explaining that side of the market. I can tell you it exists. The reason to me it's kind of iffy is that there are a lot of counterfeiters that will artificially, shall we say, age a coin. There are lots of ways to do it using chemical or physical processes. And then they'll try to get it graded as a poor level coin so that they can flip it for a good profit. This is not, again, this is like not an area I know hardly anything about. So I'm really not going to be speaking too much of it on this channel, because I don't want to give the perception that I can help anybody in that area, because I can't. I really don't understand it. I think it's an extremely iffy area. Like I said, it's because there's many physical and chemical processes that can be done to a coin that can make it look older or aged or worn in a certain way that people might find desirable, but it's artificially created. And the reason that's easy to do is because, again, I told you, coins are made out of their alloy metal. And alloy means, to quick metallurgy lesson here, an alloy is simply a metal where we're mixing different metals. We're adding silicone, aluminum, manganese, other elements to that liquid metal before we punch it into a coin, copper, whatever it might be. So it's like when you have a gold coin, it's not 100% pure gold, because a lot of people don't know this, but 100% pure gold is like really has no, it's like silly putty. It's like super, super soft. It would not be able to hold its integrity very long. So you have to alloy it. That's why we say there's like 24 karat gold and 14 karat gold and 12 karat gold. It's the percentage that is quote unquote gold. The rest of it are other metals in there to kind of give it its characteristics. There's also like white gold when you mix gold and silver. So there's many different ways alloy the coin. If you understand metallurgy, or even, especially today, you can probably just watch YouTube, there's lots of, we understand the chemical interactions that copper has with acids or things like that, or bases. And so it's very easy to artificially, quote unquote, change what a coin might be worth. So that's why I personally do not delve in the area of poor graded coins. I'm more in, looking at like, the mint, extremely fine, things like that. I will on the channel show you guys some poor looking coins. If we grade them or not is still to be seen. I have not in my life yet graded a poor coin, but maybe I will for the channel. We'll see. And I'm also going to show you guys I've got some great sample specimen coins that do have chemical damage, which are really fascinating to see under the microscope, because some of them you can actually see the copper metallurgically breaking down, which to me was quite fascinating to look at under the microscope. You can actually see the green and other tones of colors that come out as the copper is literally being broken apart. And again, the grading system is based on the Sheldon scale back in the 1940s. It's from 1 to 70, 70 being perfect. If you ever get a coin that comes back grading as a level 70, you probably have an extremely valuable coin. My advice is, and this is just me personally again, don't take my advice as expert advice or anything like that. If you have a 70, I would be reaching out to like Sotheby's or something, because that is not something you put on eBay. That is something you want a professional auction house to deal with, because that could fetch you, like I noted, $250,000 or more dollars easily. So that you definitely want to work with a professional auction house, for many reasons. Yes, they're going to take a percentage, but you're also going to be guaranteed payment. You don't have to worry about the processing of the payment. You don't have to worry about the transition of how you get the coin to the buyer. Lots and lots of factors they handle for you. And trust me, you do not want to deal with the headache. Some coin collectors like to stay anonymous. Some coin collectors will be international. There's so many different things that you have to deal with. And we will probably have a video later on about, the legal and the, if you're selling international, blah, 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 tariffs and all. There's a whole bunch of stuff I can go into. But again, trying to keep this video more introductory. We'll get into more detail in other videos. We talked about the grading characteristics, luster, detail, things like that. Some of them are things visually seen. I will make you note that I don't know if the grading companies use any type of, there is a device, you probably may have seen, there isn't actually a handheld x-ray device. You can put it on a coin. It's a non-destructive analysis of the metallurgical characteristics of the coin. I don't know if the grading companies use this device or not. It is non-destructive, which means it doesn't damage the coin in any way. It essentially just, from a quick technical level, really high technical level, and please, somebody in the comments, go nuts and expand it more. It shoots essentially x-rays at the coin, reads back the readings like a spectrometer in a way, and it can actually tell you what percentage of what metals make up that coin. Pretty cool device. You can actually buy one yourself if you want. We'll see how the channel goes. If the channel grows big enough, I will buy that device and show you guys live on video. We can start scanning coins. It is a pretty expensive instrument. I think it's a few $1,000s for it. And it's also, just so you guys know, if any of you do go buy it, it is not a toy. It is using real x-rays. Don't put it on your skin. Don't put it on your body. It will damage you irreparably. It is not a toy. It looks like a giant, almost like a really big barcode scanner, if you will. It's usually yellow and black. It's kind of funky looking. It's got an LCD display. But again, if you do buy it, don't play with it as a toy. Never point it at yourself. Never point it at any part of your body. Point it away from your body. You actually touch the material with it on the head. You pull the trigger and you're going to get an analysis. So just so you know, that tool does exist. But again, please don't play with it. Yes, we will. There are other grading systems, as I noted here. Sheldon is the one I follow, is the one the grading agencies I'm going to recommend follow. It is pretty much like internationally accepted. So if you get it graded, you're fine going with that. This is a little bit of another example of the scale of coins, and you can see they're very visually, just looking at it on the screen here. Obviously, between mint and poor, there's a pretty dramatic difference. But if you look at, about uncirculated and mint, they look pretty similar. One might almost say the about uncirculated looks a little bit better than the mint. The mint just looks brighter, something like that. If you look at very good, for example, and compare it to fine, one might almost say, hey, very good looks better than fine. Or very fine looks worse than good. So the training that these graders go through is immense. I mean, they usually have to mentor, study for many, many years. I like to say that professional coin grading is art and science. There's a little bit of each. This channel's goal is not to teach you to be a grader. I am not a grader. This is not my primary job. Actually, this isn't even related to my field of expertise or study. This is just for me. I like coins in general because I have a very kind of curious nature to myself, and I just love the to me, it's like a little treasure hunt every time you're looking and really nitpicking and analyzing, and I find it quite fascinating. That's why I love it. That's why I made this channel, actually, because I wanted to kind of share my passion for this hobby, which to some people might be boringer than watching paint dry or grass grow. But for me, it's really fun. I like looking at coins under the microscope. I like sending them in for grading if I think they're worth grading. And what I hope you take out of this is that you go, wow, you know, this channel helped me get passionate for it and get some coins graded. Another quick thing to say is please don't feel like you need to invest in really expensive equipment. For this channel, yes, the scope I use, again, I don't want to be subjective to anyone. I'm not going to tell you the make or model. Was it over $100? Yes, it was well over $100. Was it over $1,000? No. So it was between $100 and $1,000, somewhere in there. If you've seen the earlier videos, it does autofocus. It has all sorts of special features to it that make it more expensive than your standard scope. But if you're just starting, you know, go pick up a $20 jeweler's loupe. You know, you don't even need a special microscope. You don't need all the fancy whistles and bells. You don't need that x-ray gun I mentioned earlier. You can start with like a jeweler's loupe and just enjoy looking at coins. You don't have to like invest a lot of money. So we talked a little bit, you know, professional grading organizations will return your coin in a plastic container like this. It'll have all sorts of security mechanisms on it to make sure it's not tampered, make sure it's authentic. Once your coin comes back in its little plastic case, you'll know that with the highest level of trust, it is an authentic coin. This is what it's worth, and this is what they thought, what level of grade it should deserve. Again, my advice about storing them, you do you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I tell you what I do. So I like to take them out to kind of show friends and family when they want to see them. Hey, can we see some of your coins? I'm like, absolutely. Let's go sit around, you know, the dining room table and go over them. So the first one is called PCGS, and PCGS stands for Professional Coin Grading Service. Pretty simple. And I like their name for that fact, that it's got a nice simple name. The second one I'm going to present in a moment has a much more difficult name, and actually in their name is actually a part of this video series. I'm going to make a whole sub-series about that, and I'll go over it in a moment. But again, secure holders, both of them have that. Accurate grades, both have that. Trusted worldwide, both of them have that. So they both share the same characteristics. The differences with these two organizations is pretty much like two things. A, you have to pay a yearly membership fee. PCGS does tend to be a little bit more expensive than the next one I'm going to show you, and they are a little bit more expensive per coin. So that you have to decide on your own. The second one is called NGC, and this one I had to write this down because I always forget it. They stand for the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation of America. I do apologize. Numismatic is this is a word I just cannot pronounce. That is actually, I'm gonna have some videos about that. That is actually the science behind coin grading, which I would love to go over because it's really actually quite fascinating sub area of coin grading, and it literally is an area of research and study. So numismatic is not a made up word. It's actually a whole sub area of science. Super cool. Again, if you want to get into it, I would love to, you know, if you are in that field, wow, put in the chat. Maybe we can set up a little live podcast and discuss, because I'm just absolutely fascinated by that area of research and study. And again, you're going to get the same as you're going to get with PCGS. You've got your trusted worldwide, expert grades, and secure holders. So NGC, again, full disclosure and transparency, is who I use. I just use them because they're cheaper. Honestly, it's a bit cheaper for me. I save about $10 to $15 per coin. Their yearly membership is also a little bit cheaper. So for me, it just comes down to the financials. You know, if you're doing one coin a year, maybe you don't care. If you're doing 10, 20, 30, 40 more coins a year, that $15 a coin can kind of add up, you know? I mean, at least for me, it adds up, and I prefer to, because I also am not a big reseller of graded coins. I tend to keep them. So for me, it's not like I'm getting them graded and then I'm flipping them or something like that. I keep them for decades. So probably hand them down to my grandchildren. So for me, it's not, you know, like, yes, if I was to get like a 70, then yeah, I'd probably say, I would be the first one calling Sotheby's going, hey, I've got a 70. And I'm sure they would be drooling and probably paying for like a first-class ticket to go there to have them to look at it. So, you know, really kind of depends on how you're going to deal with your graded coins. Do understand though that there is a scale for grading your coins. So it's not like I told you that silver dollar I did earlier this month was $85 because it was on the lower end of the value. I think that is like coins up to like $3,000 in full scale. If you send them a coin that you think is a 70 and it is like I mentioned earlier, if you've got a Philadelphia Mint Morgan dollar coin, which you think looks like a 70, it's going to cost you a lot more than $85 to get graded. It's probably going to be a few $100s to get graded because you have to insure the coin. And quite honestly, if you have a coin of that level, and this is just me talking, I would probably be driving it down to Florida and hand delivering it to them and getting like a signed letter that they've accepted the coin. And that obviously you'd also probably be paying for like expedited service. So you'd probably like check into a hotel near the grading building and like be there so you can like physically take possession of it, and probably even, depending on what it comes back as, if you're talking about a coin like that, you're literally probably talking like next level, like, secure transport level type thing, because you're probably talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, of value. So that's not something you are just going to throw into a UPS box and ship over to them and say, hey, here you go. So yeah, that again never has happened in my experience. Honestly, if any of you out there who watch this video have a graded coin of grade 70, and I don't care what coin it is, oh my gosh, please comment, and I would love to set up a podcast with you to discuss everything about that coin, because that is amazing. I've never seen a 70 myself. I would just be drooling all over the place. So let's talk about really fast, high level, how do they actually grade the coin? And the actual exact particulars, both NGC and PCGS will not tell you. Do they use AI? What kind of microscope do they use? I will tell you that usually they start with like a 5x magnification of the coin, and then usually they'll go in like a 10, maybe a bit more than 10x magnification to look for imperfections and things like that. And again, the reason they're not throwing it under an electron microscope or something is because then you're definitely going to see all sorts of craziness. So the usual unofficial guide is the human eye. What can the human eye perceive? And believe it or not, our human eye, we're actually pretty not that visually fantastic if you compare to everything in nature, but that's kind of the guide. So the first thing they're going to do is they're going to make sure the coin is real. Like I said, it's not a faked aged coin. It really is what it's supposed to be. This is done obviously with physical examination. Do they use that X-ray metallurgical scanner to see what the composition of the coin is? Don't know. Do they use AI? Don't know. What kind of scope do they use? Don't know. There's a lot of factors I cannot tell you what they use. I would love to know what they use, and it'd be absolutely super cool. Part of the reason they don't disclose this is they don't want the counterfeiters to know how they do things, so they can come up with countermeasures to bypass that. So it kind of helps in the secrecy of it. They're going to look at it, then they're going to assign it the grade, 1 through 70. Then it's going to get encapsulated. Then there's special plastic holders with all sorts of special security mechanisms to make sure it wasn't tampered with. And again, I'm not going to disclose to you what security measures that I'm aware of are, because again, I do not want to help counterfeiters know how to bypass or counterfeit the casings, the security measures that they use. Benefits of grading coins, we kind of covered this already. Obviously, it's an international known standard. Your coin is graded, A, B, or C. It's an MS63. It's an AU. It's an EF. What is it? It's a standard that everyone speaks. It's like we're all speaking the same language. So if you show your coin to somebody in Iowa, or you show it to somebody in Germany or France or United Kingdom, they're going to know, oh, you've got an MS63. Oh, you've got this, you've got that. And it's going to be a universal language. And that doesn't mean there's a universal price. So one buyer, for example, might offer you X, another one might offer you Y. If you put on auction, you might even get Z. So it's all over the place. Most coins, I will say, especially if you're in the MS level, will only appreciate. They will not depreciate. They don't have like it's like the stock market. It's not gonna have like an exact value, but over time, if you look like the Dow Jones Industrial Average, for example, over time, over the last 20, 30 decades, it has gone up. So, 20, 30 years, it has gone up. So from the beginning to now. So again, we also do it for fraud prevention. Really, really important. As with, as that old saying goes, ask Jesse James, why did you rob the bank? Because that's where the money is. So why do people try and counterfeit, as the image shows, for example, MS64 level coins? Because that's where the money is, no pun intended. We know that it has a certain perceived value. If I can fake it, instead of trying to find an MS64 coin, if I can make a fake MS64 coin, and get hundreds of thousands of dollars for it, then, hey, that's a no-brainer. Today, especially, I'm going to just put it out there, because it's kind of like the unspoken thing. A lot of you know about 3D printers with the little filament and all that. Well, there's also metal 3D printers. Less known, less popular, much more expensive, but there are 3D printers that use things like powdered metal, liquid metal, all sorts of different alloys. So can you print coins? Yes, you can. I'm just going to put it out there. Yes, it is not very widely, as known, but yes, you can print coins. You can, luckily, at least for now, metal-based 3D printers are much more expensive. They require a much higher level of technical expertise to operate. Materials to use them is more, everything about them is more expensive. Let me put it this way, you're not going to find a metal 3D printer on Amazon. These are usually more used in like prototyping. NASA, Lockheed Martin, different types of organizations use them. They're bigger, they're louder, they're more complex, thankfully. So the bar for metal 3D printers is still pretty high as compared to the plastic ones you see on YouTube. The old cheesy ones are much, much cheaper and much more available. So for now, that bar is there. Yes, but on the counter side, yes, both grading companies, NGC and PCGS, are making changes to detect and identify counterfeits. That being by, again, like I said, the coins are alloys, they're metal alloys. So if you x-ray the coins, because the US Mint uses really, really stupid precise alloys when they make their coins. So if you scan 1,000 pennies with an x-ray gun, the variation in metallurgical composition is probably minimal at best. Again, that might be a video I'd love to make. If the channel does well, I will buy that x-ray gun and I will scan 1,000 pennies, and we can have videos discussing the metallurgical composition of them, and we can do nickels. I'd love to do that, actually. Just so you guys know, I am a data geek. I love data. I love analyzing data. Actually, part of my day job is analyzing ridiculous amounts of data all the time, which I love doing. I love technical data analysis. It is my bread and butter, and I just love geeking out on it. So that would be a super cool thing to do. So there you go. Everybody subscribe and like. Let's get this channel growing so I can go buy this, like, I forget how much that gun is. I think it's like an $8,000 gun or something. It's a crazy expensive piece of equipment. Ridiculously specialized too, by the way. It's like the only people that use it are like pawn shops that buy gold or silver, the precious metals. They'll use it. It's a very expensive piece of equipment, and it also has to be calibrated. I think you have to calibrate it every year or so. I don't know. You probably have to send it and get calibrated. Like essentially any precise piece of equipment you ever use, and I've had my exposure over the years to quite a few, they always have to be calibrated. You always have to send them in to get professionally calibrated. It takes a few months, and they come back, and you have to pay a ton of money and get a certificate, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so that's the whole fraud thing. Again, we have the collectors, myself and other people, when we collect coins, yeah, the graded, in this picture, for example, these are ungraded coins. What's their value? Who knows until they're graded. Some people I do know some people who really like to, I guess I'd say almost gamble. Like they like to go to coin shows and look for those ungraded coins, and then they can say, oh wow, I found this great coin and I think it's worth this much or that much, I'm going to get it graded. And at least my personal experience, I would never do that because, like, 9 out of 10 times they get burned. They're like, oh yeah, it's got to be like, you know, it's an MS 63, 62, maybe even a 64, and it comes back and it's like a VF, something like very fine or something. So they get completely burned. You know, they pay like hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for a coin, thinking it's worth a fortune, and then they get completely burned. I will tell you, some of these people in the coin shows that are selling coins, as a, you know, purportedly selling them, saying, oh, they think it's a VF or they think it's an AU or whatever standard, they may have already had it graded and gone, oh man, this sucks, this grade is terrible, and then they'll just break it out of the clamshell and sell it at the coin show, claiming it's higher than it really is, just so they can make their money back from the grading and they make a little bit of profit. So be aware that once a coin is graded, you can break it out of that clamshell. It's not, you know, it's not like, it's not a resin epoxy sealed, you know, encased in amber type thing. It's just a specially sealed clamshell with some security measures, and it's indicated it's been tampered with. But a flathead screwdriver, yeah, you can break it out of there pretty fast. So be wary, especially if you go to a coin show about people selling really nice looking coins, and they seem to be asking, you're sitting there going like, whoa, that's near mint looking. And they only want $4,000, I'm going to go for it. They may have spent $200 getting it graded and having come back as a VF or something. And they know what it's worth, but they're going to play stupid to you and go, well, I don't know what it's worth. I'm just going to, you know, I'm just going to sell it. So be aware. Don't be, you know, just keep that in mind. But again, yeah, I personally recommend grading coins. Hopefully this channel will teach you guys something. I hope you get some positive education out of it. More videos will be coming. The cadence of the videos starting March 1st may not be one video per day. I'm sorry for saying so many times. These videos do take longer to make, and I do have a day job. So I will try and make as many of these as I can. I do try and front load videos and have them pre-scheduled to launch, so you guys have a good cadence of new videos. I will tell you this whole educational series, that starting with this video, is absolutely massive. I have a ton of material to go over, just absolute stupid amount of material I want to cover, and hopefully you guys will learn something and become more educated coin enthusiasts and coin graders, and maybe you'll learn something new, and hey, maybe you'll teach me something new, which I'd love to learn, because I do love to learn all the time. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, because it does help the channel grow, and I will see you in the next video.